Hi, this is Stephanie Miller from The Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from my show on Political Voices Network. Yeah, I thought of you when the story broke about them bringing Manafort back. I'm like, I've always said this is sequel. It's like Batman meets Ghostbusters, where all the villains,
Arkham Asylum.
right,
Yeah.
let back out again, right? He can't even vote. He's a felon. He would be
No,
running.
no classified briefings for Donald Trump.
Yes.
None. Please
Thank you.
don't give him any. Don't.
Yeah, this part made me think of you too that Lev Parnas said. I believe we're facing now is the culmination of a much larger plan for Russia to crush Ukraine by infiltrating the United States. As we know, and you know, Paul Manafort's the only thing they changed in the platform was not supporting Ukraine. This is bad. I mean, I always say it's the biggest, dumbest movie plot ever. He said, in my travels, I found precisely zero proof of the Biden's criminality. Instead, what I learned is the true nature of the conspiracy the Kremlin was forcing through Russian, Ukrainian, American, and other channels to interfere in our elections. Ultimately, this was meant to benefit Trump's reelection, which would in turn benefit Vladimir Putin. I mean, talk about what the stakes are now for Vladimir Putin to get Trump back in, and what we should be prepared for.
Well, I mean, that was the whole idea in 2016 was that Trump would let him have Ukraine or keep the parts of Ukraine that he had and maybe give him more and put Yanukovych in there. That was the peace plan they were working on, and to drop sanctions against Russia. Those were the two goals. And in exchange, with a little bit of help from Kilimnik and Manafort, the Kremlin got their hands on very sensitive polling data in 4 swing states that Trump won by fewer than 80,000 votes, 88,000 votes. That's the trade, and they're trying to do it again. They tried to do it in 2020 and failed. So we just have to,
And of
I
course,
don't know,
the
double hard.
what do you call it? What's his name? Speaker God Warrior, talking about having
Mike Johnson.
Netanyahu come speak to the Republicans, just like they did behind Obama's back to try to undermine the Iran deal. You know, Netanyahu has been, as we keep saying, part of the GOP far right apparatus here forever. He is actively trying to undermine Joe Biden right now to sow this division about the Middle East to help but put Trump get back in, right? You've got Jared Kushner talking about, oh, you got to clean that area up in Gaza so I can build some nice waterfront condos. I'm like,
Oh my God.
yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah. By the way, speaking of them, the GOP being Trump's defense team, Jim Jordan yesterday said Jared Kushner had done such good work as a White House advisor.
What?
And he said, of course, the Democrats don't want to admit that. Jamie Raskin said, Mr. Chairman, I have a motion. I would move the committee issue a subpoena to Jared Kushner to compel testimony related to the $2 billion collected from Saudi Arabia after his service in the White House. Jordan, of course, moved to table or kill the motion.
Yep.
Because, of course.
Of course. Yeah. He moved to table every motion to hide evidence. Remember when they were trying to get the actual text messages from Bobulinski instead of screenshots of a cracked BlackBerry?
Yep.
And they were like, nope, table that. No, no, no. Nothing to see here. Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, are we witnessing this? Are we actually watching this clown show? Come on.
Did you get the
It was
same amount of sexual pleasure I got from seeing Jasmine Crockett just fillet Tony Bubbles?
She is the best. She has a very, very bright I see a president in her.
Yeah, yeah, she's
Yeah, quite
amazing.
possibly. Yeah.
So I have to say, even Fox News, who was the tiny dancer of deception, Dana Perino, as we used to call her.
Yep.
She was unimpressed. She was by the I don't even know how Fox can spin these disasters. She said, I think in some ways it just feels like they keep doing the same hearing over and over again, and people are starting to wonder at some point, do you fish or cut bait or do something about a vote or not, or move on to the general election? Newsmax even pressed Jim Jordan on whether or not the investigation has produced any hard evidence. He said it kind of seems like you're chasing your tail at this point because this isn't going to go anywhere. I mean, when you've lost Fox News, right?
Yeah, yeah. Every
Yeah.
time Trump puts an investigation, they find crimes into him.
Right. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, I was saying it's like a bank robber having a hearing and putting on the getaway driver. It's like, oh, he implicated me. I didn't see that coming. I found and by the way, all the new legal terms we've had to learn, like mandamus and our favorite is Snapadoodle from
Yes.
Andrew Weissman.
Yes.
All the
Snapadoodle,
new
Supreme
judicial
Court. Let's go.
glosses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was the tweet. He said, DOJ clearly has known about the Parnas evidence for a long time, so I'm curious what actions it has taken to corroborate or refute it. And you were saying this is one of the reasons that you've been impatient with Merrick Garland is this. Can you explain that?
Yeah, this is my main complaint, and what I think is a very legitimate complaint about Merrick Garland. Not he waited 2 years to do anything because we know that he didn't, or not this SDNY thing, or, upset about the Bill Barr thing, very upset about wanting to represent the Trump in the E. Jean Carroll matter, which he changed his mind on, which is good. But this idea that when he came in, he wanted to protect and fix the DOJ, that he wants to do that so badly
Yeah.
that he's unwilling to expose what his department, it wasn't his at the time, but he loves the DOJ like a kid, and he
Yeah.
doesn't want to make the DOJ look bad. So he doesn't want to expose all of this deep Barr corruption with
Yeah.
Scott Brady, and bringing in Russian stuff and not indicting Rudy, and instead making Lev Parnas and Fruman sacrificial lambs. That kind of overprotectiveness, I think, is my biggest problem with this
Yeah.
attorney general.
Well, yeah, I mean the Robert Hur, that was where I think he lost me entirely. It's just what the F? You put some, partisan hack in charge, let him
Well, that
release
was
this
stupid.
report. I mean, and the media did the same thing as with the Barr report, right? Just went with what's in the Hur report rather than waiting for the transcript, which completely refutes what's in the Hur report, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He shouldn't have appointed her. And Andy McCabe and I talked about that over a year ago when it happened, because Robert Hur was instrumental in rushing Andy McCabe to be fired before he could collect his pension. And then Andy sued and won. So Robert Hur is more about politics than due process. And we have had a problem with this for a very long time. So people seem to not notice when I have a problem with Merrick Garland, only when I defend him. But I defend facts, not people.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
and
Allison,
that was her
oh,
was an
sorry.
error.
Yeah.
Her was a mistake.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I guess I was saying, why that was a tough week, I think, last week for a lot of us is because, when we said, like, in 2020, you got to vote. You got to vote. We voted. We did. We voted so that we got a Biden administration and a Biden DOJ and a Merrick Garland and not a Donald Trump administration and a Bill Barr. And I think the frustration with what has happened and the delay and the fact that possibly none of these trials will happen before the election and Trump could get in and make them all go away. It's just, I understand people's frustration. What I don't want is it to depress the vote and to have people go, oh, see, voting doesn't matter and it doesn't matter what we do. And, it doesn't matter. We're not going to have a Justice Department. I can't give up like that. I mean,
No,
go
no,
ahead.
yeah, and that's the idea, right? Is people, the outrage machine, to get everybody disaffected so they won't vote. That doesn't mean people's complaints aren't valid. I'm
Right.
certainly not saying that. They are. I've had complaints. My complaints are also valid. Like, it would be weird for me to say that. But yeah, that is a big issue, and it's always on the forefront of my mind. But Merrick Garland indicted Donald Trump with plenty of time for this to go to trial. We now have a Supreme Court who is delaying the DC
Yeah.
coup trial. It's Donald Trump. It's these holdovers at the DOJ that finally aren't there anymore. Um, that we're holding the whole thing up to begin with, and only by a couple of months, if I'm being honest. But it's very frustrating. The DOJ is silent by trade, and that leaves these giant gaping holes for people to fill with rage and disinformation. And I just want to be careful, like you said, that we don't depress the vote
Yeah.
in that in
Yeah,
that
I
outcome.
mean, because with this is, I mean, honestly, not hyperbole to say this could be the last election of our lifetime if we don't turn out and vote. But and
Yeah.
like I was saying, what we need is alpha liberals, like we saw at these hearings, which that's why we keep kicking their ass time after time. We need more of those, not
So
less.
good. So good. That Moskowitz,
Oh
what a
God,
gem.
yeah,
What a gem.
fantastic. Particularly the Putin mask, right?
Oh, that was so awesome.
See, she loved it too.